Pledge allegiance
A trade flag
of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see, we got the payroll checks and vendors, things are all signed here. Meeting minutes we went over. I didn't see the timber tax. I didn't see the timber tax.
Right on top.
I think,
You
I'm
signed,
sorry.
did you sign the checks that you missed too, Ryan?
Yes, I went through
There's
this.
the timber tax.
I got it now. Okay, I didn't know that. And now, we've got a letter from the state on two dams. The state inspects the dams. Two of the dams came in with extremely poor conditions.
Which dam?
It's gonna be the Buffalo Hill Road.
The northern or the southern one?
Southern.
I believe it's the southern one.
Okay.
Okay.
Closer to Precision than KFI.
Right, it's across from the town forest.
Okay.
They have the dam numbers on there. We might not be 100% correct, but I
Yeah, I'm talking about the pictures,
Yep.
you know, and then the other one was the Beach Hill dam, because I could recognize the flag.
I will say the Beach Hill dam was pretty important.
Yeah, so
Pretty what?
those are
Pretty
at
important.
risk, those are at risk, and we'll put those in the, I gotta make sure I let Jeff Ames know about it for the, nicely, I got a whole work plan that's supposed to be finished by January of 2022 on both dams, and it's here if you want to review it.
Is this a work plan for us or for them?
They're coming in and doing the whole
They
thing.
do it, yeah.
They do the whole thing. But they're just notifying us that we're at risk as a town for
I
flooding.
did send it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what's the nature of the improvements necessary, you know?
What's in here? It's gonna be included in the minutes.
Will there be any cost to the town? Is the Army Corps of Engineers coming in to repair?
There's no cost to the town. It's a
Okay.
responsibility of the state.
Because they're federal dams, I believe,
The
right?
federal dams,
Okay.
right.
That's what my question was.
They are federal, they're state, it's.
I
it's
thought they
New
were.
Hampshire DES owned state.
Well, the Army Corps of Engineers did the construction, and this is just maintenance for, brush clearing for around the water line, around the egress points for the water and animal burrows, those kind of things.
Yep.
So, it's good that they're not only inspecting it, but they're putting in a work plan to get through it.
And do you want to make a motion to accept the minutes?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay. I vote yes. Omer, your vote?
Homer, you're on mute.
Well, we need to
Alright.
vote so that it passes. Thanks for reminding me, Linda.
He's on now.
Homer votes yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome.
After last select board's discussion, meeting, we had a lot of discussion about the Warren Wentworth ambulance service and their budget. George came as a representative for the town of Wentworth, and he couldn't answer our questions. And we had some significant questions on whether the town should continue with the ambulance service. I went out there, I spent 3 hours out there with Rob Clay, and I think Rob is running a very good operation on a shoestring. I've inspected all the ambulances and inspected all the medication, how they run their orienteering, their EMTs, etc., and it's a good operation. The problem is business-wise, one of the previous owners of the ambulance group embezzled a lot of money. That embezzlement ended up with an IRS tax lien, which the ambulance service is trying to pay off, and it's really hamstringing their governance. The Attorney General's office stepped in Concord and put an overseer group in with representatives from both towns to guide them on how they bring their business back. As I look at the overseer group, they have a lot of experience in business, but the business of running an ambulance service is a medical business. It's a different billing operation than running a standard business. Like whatever you bill for, you're not necessarily going to get back by the state or the federal government. So, because they're major billers for Medicare and Medicaid. I talked with Rob and I recommended that he take a coding course or to bring his billing in-house, and that would improve his billing efficiency. He's already stepped up to the plate, and he said that, he thought that was a good solution. As far as the overseer group, I think a lot of their decisions are made in a town-centric fashion, over what is good for the town of Warren, and to decrease the tax rate and things like that. And it's not necessarily what you need for oversight to run an ambulance business. I talked with George Morrill today. I recommended that George's background is not medical business either. George said there's a couple of people in town who are retired, who have experience in medical billing, and I think those kind of people are what the overseer group needs to effectively help the ambulance service. Speaking of Chief Trott, Chief Trott had some good recommendations on names. So there's people in this town that would fit the bill with more expertise than George. And I had a candid conversation with George. George is comfortable with working with this and finding somebody that has that level of expertise. So I'm just giving you follow-up from our select board meeting 2 weeks ago. My net, after coming through this, I had questions on whether we should continue with the ambulance service, but I think they're doing a really good job on a shoestring budget, and I'm going to recommend, I think that they are underfunded, and I think that the town should be supportive in continuing funding of the ambulance service. They came up with a good idea, Rob Clay, and it's called the Affordable Community Care Program, and it's a program where for $40 you can get 100% ambulance service for your entire family. I think if people were interested in the town of Wentworth and contributed to this would help them get over their financial difficulty right now as they're repaying the IRS lien.
What does that plan give them, the people that pay the $40 that they don't already have because they're residents of Wentworth?
They don't get a bill, period. In other words, it's right in here, and this has been sent out to everybody in town, and you've got one. So what it essentially does is if you do require ambulance service, that's all. If you paid your $40, you get no additional bills. A standard ambulance service, one call is about $2,500. Medicaid and Medicare usually cover around $500 of that. So there's a huge payout. And go ahead.
Arnie, do you know? I mean, if this is $40. If that typically would cost around $2,500, where are they recouping this money if everybody buys into this program?
It's insurance.
Well,
So to answer your question,
how would it be insurance if they don't have insurance?
they'll bill the insurance,
Who's
If you
insurance?
have insurance.
So say I didn't have insurance,
Say,
I
like,
paid the
use you as
$40.
an example, okay.
Well, I mean, I do. I wouldn't be in that case, but
No,
because I get VA medical. but I mean, say I didn't have insurance and I paid into that program for $40.
you're not gonna get billed any more than that $40.
I guess. Well, the question is, how do they recoup that money for that call? If it typically.
Well, right now, they're not recouping it.
Oh, okay. All right.
In other words, that's the point I was making about the ambulance service and their business. They are losing money hand over fist.
Okay.
And they're not able to, it's building efficiency, which makes you win in a medical environment. They've got a billing company that bills them $9,000 or $10,000 a year. And the billing company has them mail out the bills, has them do all the grunt work and make the follow-up phone calls. So the medical billing company that they got now is functioning as an advisor instead of doing
They're useless. Yeah.
their job.
Yeah.
And how much does it cost for that billing company every year?
$8,000 to $9,000 a year.
And they don't do anything.
Well,
No,
they do some things, but they're not doing their job. Their job,
no, right.
and I ran a medical practice for 40 years. If you're gonna have a billing service come in, they need to bill, they need to follow up, they make phone calls and seek out the money. That's their job, that's what they get paid for. And most services, you get a percentage of the money they go after, that's how you pay them. This billing company is winning on two factors. They got a guaranteed income of the 8 to 9. And they've got no incentive to go after that extra money.
If they don't put the right codes on, they get rejected and takes 3 to 6 months later.
Well, that's coding. That's the purpose of the billing company.
Did they tell you how much?
Here's the affordable
Did they tell you how
tax.
much they still owe the income tax? It was 50-some-odd thousand the last time.
Yeah.
Huh?
That was my interest. My interest was seeing if they're a viable operation.
Oh, they
No, they're not. Financially, they are not viable.
We sure don't want to get rid of them.
Well, we're seeking if they don't step up to the plate this year, we're gonna find somebody else. Go ahead.
I have some credible sources that would indicate that going elsewhere would be significantly more money. Like significantly more money.
Absolutely.
So,
Excuse me?
in all honesty, it sounds like what we're having to pay the Wentworth ambulance service is on the cheap, for the most part.
Yeah, it's always, one thing in life,
Hmm.
if you don't follow, if something doesn't make sense, you find something else and you make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, their problem is they can't find local EMTs. So they gotta pay somebody from Nashua or Laconia to drive up here. They gotta pay them, hour and a half, 2 hours travel a day.
Hmm.
Which is they're getting paid for travel. And
Right.
if we had local EMTs or even EMRs, an EMR could drive the ambulance and the EMT could do the medical tech.
Do you think there's a lack?
There's a
I
lot
don't-
of trained people in town here.
Well, I mean, have they tried to discuss that? I know that obviously what we're being charged based off of credible sources. Let's just say that it looks like
What
we're
are
getting it on the
credible
cheap.
sources? What are
But
credible sources?
I mean, I spoke to other fire personnel in the area and the general vicinity and gotten their opinions on things. I mean, I don't want to call out names.
Well, you
'cause
can't
I
come to a public meeting and then you're like the Washington media.
I
for God's sake.
I get that. If you were to ask the Plymouth Fire Department though to take over for EMS though in the
They
town,
wouldn't be somebody that we would ask. Because they're too expensive.
you'd be looking at
Right.
a few $100,000 a year. I
No,
believe that's what it was.
77,000. I mean, we're paying 48 now. If you've got to get somebody to travel in and do the ambulance service, that's 77. But there's other opportunities. I don't think we should naively block ourselves to opportunity.
I wouldn't say put that, you know, I'd say do all your due diligence, but at the same time, we very well may not be finding anything cheaper than this.
And if that's the truth, you go with the best plan.
But at the same time, though, if we're paying a very cheap price, we may not be getting the service that we really need. There's already indicating that they can't find good EMTs in the area.
Right.
Is it because that the salary is crap, or is it because we really don't have anybody in the area that can do it? You
Now,
know?
we have people in the area that would step up, but it's inconvenient for them to step up.
I see. Okay.
That's one of the problems in this town, is people don't come and contribute to the town.
Just on the basis of proximity, it's a worthwhile service.
Well,
Because-
I think it's worth challenging them to do a better job.
I'm okay with that.
And they gotta meet the challenge. So, can I have that back now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I talked with Chief Trot, and I didn't say the specific name, but there are people in town that would be able to help out with that overseer and help with coding and medical billing. If they did a better job with their billing, it'd be clean. But what I don't want to do is have the people, the town, citizens, the taxpayers in this town paying for business inefficiency.
Do they still have somebody in the building?
Jordan, do you have a
24/7?
question? Anything on it? Does it make sense to you?
It makes sense.
Okay.
Do they still
Omar,
have-
your thoughts?
No, just keep going.
No, I want your thoughts on the ambulance service and the analysis.
Yeah, I agree with your analysis, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see how it goes this year, and you'll have a new board, next year.
Yeah, but we're gonna really make an effort to talk with the overseer board and see if we can get somebody to represent Wentworth who has billing experience, medical experience.
Yeah, I agree with that concept too, yes.
Yeah, last week we voted to have Andrew go out there and get some answers for us, but they were nice enough to meet us and give us the answers we were looking for.
One of the hardships is playing catch-up with the IRS.
Yeah, but you know what? You wanna make that go away, but you can't use wishful thinking to make good fundamental business decisions. And that would be, just doesn't
But
work
my
that way.
point is, either you go bankrupt and start over,
Well,
which is not very possible.
that's naive. Okay. Chief?
Thank you, sir. So, I have not had time to do a report because yesterday, obviously, I was not
No.
here to have access and I wasn't doing that great yesterday. But what I did want to do is take the opportunity to bring in our new animal control officer and introduce him to the board and the public.
Okay.
This is Bill Melanson. He's a Wentworth resident, former law enforcement officer. And I just wanted to have him introduce himself, have the board meet him, ask any questions that you may have, and have people that are on the Zoom meeting be able to put a face to a name. So this is our new Wentworth Animal Control Officer, Bill Melanson.
Okay.
How are you?
Good.
How are you?
Good. Now,
Nice to meet you, sir.
yes, pleasure.
Yeah, we'll talk Celtic sometime, maybe?
Yeah, I saw your jacket there.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Were you wearing?
This is brand new.
Oh, it's,
Just
that's what
gave
you
it to
do.
him.
Okay. I was driving up Hooper Hill Road and saw somebody walking up up the hill where the power lines are,
Yeah.
and I didn't know if it was you.
Oh, it could have been me, probably was me.
You in a dump truck?
Not a dump truck, no, no.
Good. And you guys have worked out an operational plan?
Yes, we have. We were just doing some finishing work on it in our office regarding time that when Bill's not available, obviously we're gonna fall back on when we didn't have somebody, and I would be taking the call.
Okay.
But there's gonna be coverage, no matter what. The town's gonna be covered.
Okay. And
Yes.
you gonna use your personal vehicle or?
Yes, I have a truck. I
Okay.
use that, I have money, those leashes, loops, or whatever, just
Yeah,
for.
the dog news, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes,
Jordan, do you have questions?
Is there anything else that you need, or you have everything?
Can I walk my dog by your house? I don't think so right now, I don't know, like you said, like the chief said, the calls, you could have one call, you could have 100 calls. It
Okay,
just doesn't matter, it's a 24/7, I imagine, 24/7, 365 operation.
awesome.
When I'm not available, I'll call dispatch, chief said, call dispatch and let them know, and they'll, you know, if they get a call, they'll call the chief or they'll call someone in the area.
Okay, good.
I know John Sinatakis next town over, he, you know, he and I are familiar with each other.
Okay, so you got a good working net and operation plan, good.
Think so,
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
thank
think
you.
so.
Who do the townspeople call with questions? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Is it the police department? Is
Police
it a
department.
number? They call you.
They call us, or if there's nobody at the police department, the message says to call dispatch. And dispatch is able to contact either Bill or myself, or whatever officer may be on call.
Okay.
Yes.
So-
The chief said that he'll take care of all the business end of it.
Mhm.
Someone has to get, you know, fined, summons,
I
or
got you,
whatever.
so,
I'll be the responder for the incident, and then just do an email kind of report or whatever.
okay, now, as far as the comms, he has the same comms as you have?
Yes.
Communications?
Yeah, I have more, actually,
Yeah.
and
And dispatch has it as well, so
trying to
we're
get up to
able.
the 20th century, you got a cell phone, everyone's got a cell phone now.
Yeah, no, all I'm trying to do is make sure, I'm trying to think ahead.
Yeah, well, we also have a pager, and I'm trying, if I can get away from the pager, that would be better, because otherwise I got a cell phone, I got a pager, and I'm a civilian, you know?
You got it, you got it. Homer, do you have any questions? Thank you.
Yeah.
Homer, do you have any questions on,
I did not get a chance to see Mr. Melanson.
oh, here.
Can you see me?
Here, right, hang on.
Okay.
I didn't get to see you either.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank
Andrew?
you.
Arnie, just so I'm not sure if you guys have discussed this as of yet, but what would be procedures on, say, you know, somebody's pet was lost, you found it, or maybe even dealing with you know, problematic animals or something like that. I don't know. Is there any specific procedures that are any different than how you dealt with it? You know, there's a little kennel out back or something.
Well, there's different ways we've dealt with it in the past. Normally what we'll do is we'll have, in this case, it'll be Linda now, or Deb's younger, or somebody, will have them post it on the Wentworth bulletin board on their front paw with a picture, and usually it gets around pretty quick if somebody's lost an animal, and they'll contact us. We'll hold it for a short period of time.
Okay.
We won't hold it overnight, obviously, but if it needs to go to the animal shelter in Plymouth, Meredith, I'm sorry, we have a contract with them, and either Bill will take it or I will, and then the owners can be contacted and then they can go to get it picked up. If it's some type of other animal, like we don't do wild animals.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't do wild animals.
Be more of a fish and game thing.
Yeah, that's a fish and game thing, or a chief trap. You know, like today I went up and took care of a problem. She says it's a wolf, I think it's a coyote. So to her, I'm sure it is a wolf, but, cause she's no bigger than a peanut, but I think it's probably a coyote, so that's a wild thing. That wouldn't be something we'd have to deal with.
I will tell you, over the last couple of nights, there's been coyotes howling outside by the you've heard.
Fishing game,
Yeah.
Fishing game.
Yeah.
And do you know the fishing game rep here?
I know one of them, John Demler.
Yeah, he's
That's
our
our
guy,
guy.
that's
Yeah, I
our
know John, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I worked in Thornton for 3 years before I retired a couple
Okay.
years ago. And I worked at Plymouth State for 5 years.
Oh,
I worked
nice.
at the New
Okay.
Hampton School for a couple years as a school
Good.
resource officer. So I've been established as law enforcement up here for 10 years or so. And then
Good.
just recently retired and worked in Boston for 20 years in the corrections industry. Nashville Street in South Bay and Deer Island.
Okay.
I know you've been
Oh,
from
yeah, I
that
know all
area.
of those places. I used to live on Squantum.
In Squantum, sure, yep, down in Situate, yep.
Okay.
Is the coyote issue a new issue?
Excuse me?
Is it a new issue?
Well, it's new to me, yes, yeah. But, I mean, that's not uncommon, unfortunately, you know, and.
There's a lot of coyotes around here.
Yeah, well, in her situation too, there's scraps that she's putting out that she thinks is okay to put out there, and obviously,
You're gonna bring in animals, too.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, official game, or definitely yell at somebody for something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And she's not doing it for
Okay,
the
just-
wrong reasons, so.
Is Jeff Ames on Zoom, or?
He is
And,
not.
Are we all set with Bill?
Yes,
So,
I'm sorry, you know
Nice to meet
what?
you folks. Ones that I don't know.
Thank you.
I got it, I hope, I hope. See you guys, nice to meet you, nice to meet you.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
I did not take the job.
okay, I'll touch base with Jeff tonight, okay? Road agent, Paul?
I am also guilty of having no report this week. I plan on doing it this afternoon. I was going home for lunch and I get called back to help Kevin change the radiator, so I
I
haven't.
think that's more important than the
It
report.
is.
Let's just
So,
do it off the top of your head.
so yeah, today will be a 16-hour day. Yesterday was a 13-hour day for me, and just last time we talked, Arnie asked how the international was, and
That's a stupid question.
so please, nobody ask how the international is anymore. We just bought a $2,000 radiator for it. And Kevin Knapp has been there since 10:30. I just left there and I had been working on it with him since 12. And it is a bear. We had to use the backhoe to lift I had to have the backhoe in the shop and I had to lift the radiator out because everything is connected to the radiator. So it wasn't a 3 or 4 hour job like we were expecting. And it's been 7 hours and it's going to be quite a few hours tomorrow too. So please don't ask how the international is. No news is good news. We'll leave it at that. We've been super busy with these little storms, plowing, sanding, salting. I did want to ask the select board to give me permission to post the roads probably the first week of March. Low limit.
Okay,
You guys have to give permission to do that because the signs say per select board. So it is up to the select board. I believe, am I right? It's up to the select board to give permission.
My question would be, all roads or select roads?
Well, all the roads get posted. I cannot stop, you can't stop fuel delivery trucks. You can't stop log trucks going to the mill. It's basically our gravel roads around here that there's logging operations or something going on, and we're just trying to protect the roads from having worse mud than they're already gonna have.
when do you want to
Post out
start
there.
that?
That's the worst I've seen it.
Paul, when do you want to start that?
Typically I post, usually you post them the first week of March. What are we looking at? February 23rd, so yeah, I mean next week. And I mean, if you see, it warmed up to almost 40 today, and you can see some of the roads are getting muddy already. So it's not far. And I have
Well, I'd
bad
like to make a
feelings it's
motion.
gonna be bad.
Just for the selectmen here to vote to post the roads effective March 1st.
Thank you.
All are selected.
All the roads.
I'll second that.
Second it, it's been seconded. A vote, I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Homer?
Homer votes yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Passes.
Can I just add to that a little bit too? So that is actually covered by an RSA, which
Yes.
is why the selectmen. But Paul also is probably gonna get inundated with phone calls from different people. There are exceptions that Paul can make depending on temperature and road conditions. Because it's gonna fluctuate a great deal over the course of March. And we live in a community where we have a mill as well, and there's a number of different lumber cutting, logging operations that's going
Yeah,
on.
I think, and you want me to make a motion that we put it at his discretion?
Well, it is anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
If
it
you're
should
good
be,
with that.
I let, last year, I let anybody use the roads that wanted to within reason, early in the morning, before it warmed up.
right.
As long as it's, below freezing and it's not already muddy. I don't have a problem with it. But once 10 o'clock rolls around, it's over.
Okay, so it's understood that it'll be at your
Yeah, I
discretion.
mean, last year I had a lot of people call and ask, and for the most part, everybody was pretty good.
Okay, good.
And Paul's good at communicating that information to me so that I know as well, because some people have called in, but I was aware that they had permission to be there and there was a time limit involved. So that communication's, it's there, we have it, and we'll just continue to do that for this year as well.
If they live on the roads, you can't shut it off to them
Thank you.
anyway.
What's that?
If they live on the roads, you can't shut it off to them anyway.
Well,
So
no,
bring it
it's
stuff
the-
home.
It's the weight of the
Yeah.
vehicles that's the key.
I mean, for instance, I'll use Randy Morrison.
Yeah, you can't shut them off.
Well, you can.
You can.
Oh yeah, you can. And he is very, very, very good about coming in and calling me. He's called me at 9 o'clock at night and said, "Hey, I didn't think it was gonna be cold tonight."
I'm
But,
talking about going to his home.
Let him finish.
so I have no problem. But Randy, yeah, you can shut him off from going up and down the road.
You can't prevent it from
I'm not
coming
gonna.
from his
I mean,
home.
I'm not
That's what I'm
gonna.
saying.
Right,
He
well,
uses-
but-
Yeah, I mean that's.
But
I'm just
what
saying.
you can't do is go to his home with a fully loaded trailer.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're saying.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
just the
weight-
weight
it's
aspect.
the weight of the
That's
truck.
all.
So that's all I've got for this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
On the schedule, it's an update on the trip.
Yeah, so I got an email from Chris Fournier from HEB. I passed it around. I assume everybody saw it. So he said he expected to get DOT approval within like a week. This was earlier in the week, so it should be right
It was
around-
last week, wasn't it?
I don't remember the exact day. It was
I
since
saw
the
that
last
stuff on
meeting.
this, Yeah.
He said soon. So I asked him back, I said, do you want me to notify Paul Hatch that we're just about there? And he said, let's wait. That was the last I heard. I'll check back with him again soon, but we should get DOT approval pretty soon according to him, and then we can pass that on to FEMA.
What's this?
Is it worth a
The
phone
bridges.
call? Is it worth a phone call? Because that's 2 weeks ago that he said it was gonna be done in a week.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking that it was at the end of last week, but I don't remember the exact day.
Okay. What's your thoughts on this?
I think it's DOT that's holding it up.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to
You thought it was last week.
facilitate it.
I
I mean, a general phone call or?
I mean, Chris Fournier. If he says hold off until he hears from him, I'd hold off.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we're up
I'm
there.
impressed with Chris being.
Yeah,
very
no,
capable.
we're up there. I mean, we don't have much leverage. I know the state is blaming everything and FEMA is blaming everything on the COVID, but I
Due to
mean,
COVID. It's
I mean that's what we get. And I'm not saying some of it's not to blame for that, but I mean,
I just hate to sit here
just-
and not do something when we should do
it
it.
bothers me that we were headed for possible construction of our bridges here in a few months, and now it's another year later. That's what bothers me.
Linda?
Now, the information that he's gonna be getting from DOT, is that gonna satisfy Paul's Hatch's request for FEMA? He called the other day, and I sent you all an
Yeah.
email, that he's looking for drawings, rough design, rough cost estimates, and like we talked about at the last
Right.
meeting,
Yeah,
from HEB, so that DOT approval will satisfy Paul.
I'm assuming, he was here for that last meeting, we talked about it with Paul Hatch, and they
Well-
went back and forth over what
How
needed to be done.
How about a quick phone call to Chris, just to make sure we're,
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
the
we're
scope
nice.
and fees that they're
Yeah.
working on, which is what has to be approved first by DOT, so.
okay.
Which is the bridge aid.
If you can make,
But he wanted rough things because
who wanted rough things?
Paul Hatch.
Paul Hatch, okay.
Because it takes a while to get it into FEMA's system. And they need to do a lot of pre-review.
So he
And,
wants a rough draft, that's all.
yeah, and he seems to feel that Chris doesn't understand that. But when I find that hard to believe, because Chris knows everything about FEMA. But Paul was, you know,
I think when we talked to Chris, he was saying that he wanted to make sure that the state DOT bridge aid okayed everything before they went ahead and spent all this time on their drawings and stuff. Because they spend all this time on drawings and the bridge aid says it's not going to fly. They spent $20,000, $25,000 on drawings that we're on the hook for. I think he was trying to help us in the long run, just in case. I mean, he sounded like he was pretty confident it would go through,
Yeah, DOT has to sign off on the scope and fees before we
On-
give anything
on
to
both
FEMA, 'cause it
bridges.
could be
On both
subject to
bridges,
change.
have they agreed to go with Plan B? Remember we had Plan A and Plan B?
We won't know that until the Bridge 8 is done.
Okay.
Right. Remember we did all this with
Yeah.
Paul Hatch and Chris. So
Right.
Chris should, they went back, remember they went back and forth a little contentiously.
Right.
And so he should be well aware of what needs to be done. And he told me that we should still wait before I copy Paul Hatch on it, so we're just waiting for just a little bit more from DOT.
Is your engineering study all done?
The studies were all done.
Studies
This
all
is
done.
scope and fees and engineering for the bridges.
That's kind of my
Is there
question.
anything we're missing?
The next thing is the building.
Yes.
The building.
Oh no, we're not even close to that phase right now.
That's my question is the engineering study all done? That sounds like the answer is no.
It's
The
design.
engineering study is done for the pillars, the side portions, and there was 2 plans that
Right.
you were here at the meeting, we presented that.
But I don't know what stage you're at as far as completion.
We still just have to get it through the DOT bridge
What's the hold
aid
up
program.
there?
It's the state and
That's
it's
what we're
COVID.
discussing right now.
That's what I just said,
That's what
Francis.
we're-
They say
Just
COVID.
listen to us, that's what we're discussing.
The state's been holding us up for quite a while.
Right.
And then we can't send it to FEMA until the state's approved it. So FEMA's calling and asking for stuff, but if the state doesn't approve it, we're wasting our time.
Omer, do you have any questions?
Yes, I just wrote something in chat. Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
If DOT is the quote unquote problem, and Chris is having troubles and Paul Hatch is having problems, should we contact our executive counselor, Joe Kenny, and see if he can't put a fire under the DOT?
I think we're pretty close to having that done. So before we piss them off, we might want to just.
I would say before you do that, somebody should put a call or an email into Charles Wilecki before that, because he's been awful helpful with me in the past.
I've tried reaching out to him multiple times.
I know you
Since
said
then,
that.
He has not even bothered to respond, so.
Every time I call or email him, right back to me.
Okay.
Maybe you should.
Well, why don't you,
I mean, that I would try that before I get anybody involved, because I don't.
Well, sounds like you better do
because
that.
Omar, if we go that's like approaching the problem with a sledgehammer, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Right.
But if we can do it with less force, that might be a good idea. Paul, you can make a call?
I will. I'll make a call, and I will also send him an email just to see if he can give me a call.
Could you keep Jordan and Omar and myself in the loop on that? So that, because we're the ones who would execute on the call to the State House.
Yep.
And I'll check in with Chris from HEB.
Omar?
Mr. Chairman, if I wanted to use a bulldozer or a stick of dynamite, I would suggest we call the governor's office. No, I'm trying to be low key with Councilor Kenny. Honest.
Okay.
Let's save that to see if they keep delaying it or they don't approve and they're being a stickler over which design we can pick. Then let's save it for that. But if we're 98% of the way through getting that approved, then let's just let it be and not ruffle feathers in the state.
The other person I had, I was just looking through my notes.
Omar, go ahead.
Play it by ear. I agree with Jordan. Play it by ear, and we'll play our cards as we need to play them. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, thank you.
I was just looking through some notes I had from this, and the other person that I spoke to on this issue last year was Ron Kleiner. Are you guys familiar with him?
He's been CC'd on some emails, but I don't remember.
I don't know if that's Charles Wilecki's like assistant or if Charles is under him. It's one way or the other. I can't remember.
I don't know.
But I can send a copy of both on the email and just send it to him.
Just an inquiry,
Yep.
just to see where we are, just to jostle our cage.
I think you ought to make a
Andrew?
motion to authorize you
You have
to
a
do
question?
that.
I actually was just going to indicate that Omer had a question in the chat, but I do have something to note about Jeff Haynes when you get a sec. I was just going to say he messaged me.
Okay.
He obviously is not going to make a meeting, so.
Hang on. Okay, we're all set with that. Anything else to add?
Nope, I'll check in with Chris within the next day or two.
Okay, and you're gonna talk with,
Yep. I'll put a call.
Okay.
I think you ought to.
You're
make a
gonna
motion.
jump, you're gonna speak for Jeff?
No, he had something come up down. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he just wasn't gonna make the meeting. He said he was gonna submit his report to Linda tomorrow.
Okay, good, good, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's
I
fair.
think you ought to make a motion if you're authorizing the road agent to make a phone call.
I think being the road agent authorizes them to.
It's a job.
No, it does not.
Okay, new business, Lyndon? On the, open to the public?
Oh, Desi Amber asked me, she just wants permission from the select board to open the office to the public, not keep the door locked. We would just let people come in, and we'll maybe put some tape across the floor so that they can, distance by 6 feet. And she does have the protective barrier there, so they just wanted your permission.
Okay.
Are you comfortable with that?
Oh, yes.
Omar?
Yes, I'm comfortable with that too, yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion to reopen the town office to the public per Linda's guidelines.
Right. And well, yes, Linda's guidelines, but did the state guidelines too. Okay, I vote yes.
Yes, second.
Homer votes yes.
A second.
Yes.
Did you
Okay,
get my vote yes?
Yes.
Did you get my vote yes?
yes, we got it. Andrew?
Thank you.
I wanted to say something for the public comment portion.
Sure.
I did do a sort of a impromptu interview with somebody before the meeting today for the video streaming.
Yes.
Local resident and a highly technical person, has done some YouTube live streaming before as well. I'd say he's fully capable. He's gonna do some testing at home and get back to me, and see if everything's gonna work out. So, that will be probably the more ideal case rather than going the Penny Baker route for the YouTube live streaming.
Right.
So,
Andrew, thank you for doing that. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Yep.
It's nice to see people in the town step up and help.
Absolutely.
It really is. Okay. Francis?
I have a question for Linda. Can I direct it to her?
Sure.
My question to you was, and I had a file on the gravel pit, and it was the things you gave me, the things I found out, and I did a write-up. Remember all that?
I have I have copies of what we presented that night
Okay,
attached
okay,
to the
that's
minutes,
good enough for me.
and I can make you a copy.
No, I don't want a copy. I just want to know where the copy was.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, we're gonna move into,
Arnie, if there's something else pressing, do you want to go over the road agent contract, or do you want to wait for a different meeting? Are you going to go into our non-public?
yeah, I gotta go into a non-public.
Are we scheduled for a time?
Yep, it's on the agenda.
there's no particular time.
There's no particular
No,
time.
no, it's
Oh,
just.
I just didn't know if this was a good time to do this, but instead of going to non-public, and then maybe.
Sure, I don't know, let's open the discussion. At the last select board meeting, we elected to extend Paul's contract for 3 years. And we were gonna work on the details
Yep.
of that contract, and you got some thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I passed the email around. I didn't know if Homer or you or Paul had more notations or comments, or just so that we keep talking about it, so that we don't get down to the
Yep.
last week.
Right, okay.
You know.
I don't think there's another select board meeting.
I think we gotta do this tonight.
No, you don't have to do it tonight, but I think you got 4 weeks before we have another select board meeting. Because the next 2 weeks from today is town voting. I don't think you'll have a select board meeting then.
Right.
And then it would be the
So it would be like.
the 23rd.
20th
The
of-
23rd of March would be our next select board meeting.
Which
So
will
we
be
signed
after
this
the
last
town
time, the
meeting.
25th and the 26th
Oh, okay.
Oh, that date,
of March.
March.
That's when we signed his contract last year. So we probably ought to, at least in the interim, get that done.
Okay, why don't you address your initial thoughts to it? And
So I had just made some chicken scratch notes. It's a pretty simple contract. We were gonna talk about a graduated
program.
salary increase and what that might look like. I had a note as far as, basically him following the same thing as the employee handbook policy and trying to make it as much to match that as what everybody else has to do. And then I had a thought on having maintenance logs for the equipment and having that in each one.
I think that's a good
And
idea.
then having that subject to audit by the selectmen whenever we might
You're
feel
more
like.
than welcome to come down and get them, they're already
They're
there.
already there?
They've been there
Okay,
since
good.
the day I started.
So I was just thinking that each one would have like the
He wants
days,
to add it to
hours,
the
what you
contract.
did.
Yep. You need daily or just on the equipment
No,
maintenance?
just equipment.
Yeah, I have 3 ring binders of every piece of equipment and when the oils are changed and everything.
And you put down grease and stuff like
I
that too?
put everything.
Did the employees like initial it so we know who did what or?
No, I fill them all out. That way I know all the oils, hydraulic fluids, filters and stuff are changed. I don't put it down when they're greased. We grease stuff daily. So I don't do that.
Okay,
But as far as oil changes, hydraulic fluids, filters, flat tires, stuff like that, it's in the logbook. I started it, I think, April of 2019.
so you've got one binder for the whole thing or? is
No,
it-
I've got one for the loader, the backhoe, one for the grader, one for each truck.
Should be a book for each truck.
Yeah, you're welcome. I got it all on the shelf up there. You're welcome to come down and look at it.
Yep, I just thought that'd be good, and
Yep.
and something goes wrong, you can see, we changed the oil at this many hours, or we put the
Yep.
antifreeze in, and now we've lost 2 gallons in such and such a date, and it just is good all around, so.
Yeah, we check the antifreeze, see what it's good for temperature in the fall. Just so you know, I have the maintenance schedule I started, whether the truck needs it mileage wise or not. Every piece of equipment, the oil gets changed, and all the filters, fuel filters, hydraulic filters, they get changed in April or May, and they get changed again in October or November.
And I know for like.
Every
fuel
6
systems-
months, need it or not, they get it.
Okay.
And you're never gonna have an engine blow up because you change the oil too much.
No.
Are you going after a vote of the town to do this?
To do what?
Aren't you talking about a multi-year contract?
We are talking about a multi-year contract, we don't need that vote
You
down
don't
for
need
that,
the town
we checked
to
with
do
New
that.
Hampshire Municipal.
I didn't ask you that. Are you allocating to the town so better have a say in it?
No, on the contract length, no.
It's our job to do that.
Yeah, they elect us to do this.
Do you want me to, I will draw up a contract if that's all right, based on this and your recommendation.
Yeah, we need to talk about what those.
Well, let's finish talking about it first.
No, but I can do that in time for,
Yeah, we definitely should start drafting one, because like you said, we are not far away from
We're-
running out. which is
I
why-
didn't realize that. I knew we weren't gonna have a meeting for 4 weeks, but I guess it does bring us to.
I think that, we need to come across with a proposal. Paul needs to review the proposal and do a counter proposal, and we're back and forth on it. Omer, would you like to step in with some thoughts here?
Well, I like Jordan's comments, but I don't want to shirk my duties here, but I think I'm not going to be a selectman, when it comes time to sign that contract, Mr. Chairman. But again, I appreciate the work that Jordan has done on it, and I appreciate his suggestions for it, and those would be my comments at this point. But again, I don't want. There's going to be a new selectman, after town meeting, and I don't want to, step on somebody else's toes who, may have a better need to comment on that than myself at this point in time.
Okay.
I think I'd prefer to get it done before then.
Yeah,
because you're
I
talking
was-
about a week between when he's
We've only
done.
got a shorter time to do it. My thoughts on it, I checked in on the salary rates in the surrounding towns, and Paul's salary needs to grow to be competitive with the surrounding towns. You can either grow it at a fixed rate or a fixed number for each year, or you can grow it at the cost of living. Cost of living increase at the federal level for Social Security is about 1.2 to 1.6% per year. In a standard business operation, the percent increase is between 2.8 and 3% per year increase. I think Paul has done a good job in maintaining the town and trying to turn around our poor equipment issues, and I think we're headed in the right direction. I would recommend that we go to 2.83% increase per year. And I think by doing that with his salary that he's got now, he now gets to be competitive with the surrounding towns of Orford. I looked into 3 different towns. So I think that would be a fair number as far as the increase in the salary. I think, hang on, I think that we gotta make his contract, like you said, agree with our, policies that we.
Yeah, I think we should have a note in there that
That's it.
ties it.
As far as the contract, the maintenance logs, I think he's already doing that, but I think there's nothing, I don't see any problem with putting that in the contract.
I have no problem
They already do it,
whatsoever.
so.
I don't have, I mean, you guys put whatever you want in the contract, that's what they're all about. We can
Yeah, but you know,
negotiate, I'm
this is
good.
part of the negotiation. These are my initial thoughts on it.
The school board has to get the vote of the town every 3 years to sign a teacher's negotiated contract. What makes you think you don't?
New Hampshire Municipal says we
So
don't
New
have to.
Hampshire, we talked with the New Hampshire Municipal Association.
There's no reason to handicap the town on a 1-year contract over and over and over
There's
again.
no year to handicap the town on a 3-year contract.
We consulted legal advice on
We
that,
did, yeah.
Francis.
The regular hourly employees, they're not on a 1-year contract. They're on until they quit, they're laid off, or they're fired. You know, it's not like,
What's wrong with that?
there's nothing wrong with that. They have job security. The guy at the top of the food chain should have job security that goes beyond
Right.
12 months. And to point out, our neighboring town of Warren, now that's a little different because theirs is elected, but Bobby Cass was there for a couple of years and he got done. Now they have a new guy, and then now they've got, I think, 4 people running for that position. They could have 3 road agents in 3 years. That is not what we want to do.
I'm not saying it is.
But if you have 1-year contracts and new select boards, you'll end up with this revolving door of selectmen and road agents. We've done it, it's expensive, and it's not worth it.
We're trying to bring,
It ties the town, and
we're trying to bring some
you own the
stability
town,
to the town.
not the road agent.
We want to keep the road agent. You have cause, if something bad goes wrong, you used to always have cause to get rid of someone through that policy handbook. It's not like you're locked in if you don't, if something bad happens, but we feel comfortable and we want to lock them down and not have this expensive turnover.
I think the town should say,
Okay, I'm gonna move to go into a non-public session now.
when you come out of the town, non-public, you're gonna have any motion to make? You think?
Not that I know of. There's nothing for after the non-public, right?
Probably just to seal the minutes.
I gotta see the minutes. That's
why
why
I'm
I'm
assuming
choosing
this is about the road agent salary.
No.
No, I don't have actually a clue what this is about.
It's just motion conversation.
Oh, he was asking if it was to discuss the road agent. I said.
Francis, it was me that asked for the non-public and it was not about me, that's why it can't be
It's not
done.
about him. So I move we go into a non-public executive session pursuant with RSA 91-A, 1-3, comma 1. And it's at 5:50, whatever.
I'll second.
5:53.
I vote yes?
Yes.
Commissioner, Selectman Akers votes yes.
Okay. We're all set to learn non-public.
Give me just a second.
Make sure nobody's on Zoom,
Yep.
YouTube.
I vote yes.
And I move to seal the minutes of what we just discussed.
I'll second that.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Homer votes yes.
Okay, and now we're gonna go back into the non-public, to the public. Great.
Well, we were in the public.
Yeah.
We are in the public.
That's
They are
right.
public.
Okay. Anything else? Any additional comments before we close out? Oh,
I was beginning to come up with a list of the, I'm tired. The planning board master plan, or if you wanted questions for the survey.
Yeah.
So I went to write them down, I've got a couple in my head, I'm gonna start working on that, and start maybe forward to Linda or whoever, just to start getting a list.
Yeah, the
Survey
planning
questions.
board is getting together to do this master list and getting the right questions to put on there. They're gonna meet with June Garno. I think, Omar, you're gonna meet this week with her, aren't you?
Yeah, Monday night, the 1st.
Okay, good. So we gotta really start nailing these questions.
Yeah, I have a few that I would like to pose for the survey.
Okay, so, Linda, does the planning board have a point of contact that we can send our questions to?
Omer, he's ex officio or for the board.
Yes.
Homer, then there's this lady on the board, her name is Sonia.
Oh, God.
You know her.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do.
She's a pretty good contact person, Mr. Chairman.
No, but I mean for the people in the community to send their questions to.
Other than that, be what, John Mead?
John Mead? John Mead's the secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah, John's the secretary.
Yeah.
And he's on Facebook, so
Yes.
he's easy for people to send a message or private message to if they
He's
want
the
to.
secretary. He's the secretary of the board, and so he's kind of like the glue that holds everything together.
I think he's gonna be the point of contact for sending all our questions to him, okay?
Good.
Okay, good. I think that's it. Move we close the meeting.
Second,
Second.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.